Hello, friends, and welcome to the Keep Blooming podcast. I'm your host, Liz Montigny. In today's episode, we kick off a 4-part Advent series, and I have an important announcement on a new way you can work with me. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Do you want simple steps to level up your mind, body, and spirit, or encouragement as you navigate the challenges of motherhood? Or maybe you need a dose of hope to achieve that goal? Then you've tuned in to the right podcast. This is Keep Blooming, and I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Each week, I'll encourage you to drop the hustle mentality for hope and act on the dreams God has put on your heart. I'm a licensed Ziegler life coach. I've created a theater ministry, and like you, I'm doing all the things as a Catholic, a wife, and a mom to 3 boys. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 7 of Keep Blooming. I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Today marks the first of a 4-part Advent series. The podcasts in the next 4 weeks are going to be focusing on the themes of our Advent wreath in those candles that they represent hope, peace, joy, and love. And today we are talking about hope for the future. And before we dive in too far, I just want to remind you to check out the show notes. They are chock full this week with signups for my course and retreat, as well as where you can find me next week, actually, with some save the dates in there with some special events. So be sure to check that out. And if you've been listening for the past month or so, you know that I love to root our conversations in truth. So I always like to focus that with a little Lectio Divina. And today we are going to look at John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Wow. That is one sentence, folks, and that is filled with so much hope. So we will come back to that at the end of our conversation. Yes, so we are talking about hope for the future this week. So we are in the first week of Advent. Can you believe it? It's already here. I don't know about you, and I'm sure this is pretty usual, but when we're children, we're constantly thinking of Christmas, right? But as we get older, we start to recognize that Advent and Christmas are actually 2 separate seasons. And last year was the first year that I was very intentional that they were 2 separate seasons for my family. And that really helped us be intentional with our time and our scheduling. It helped us slow down and just appreciate the beauty that is our liturgical season in the Catholic faith. And one of the practical ways we do that in our home is just ease out the decorations, week by week. It's a little tough on my 8-year-old. He wants to be like Elf and just go for the whole thing. But I really found last year that this was just a really nice way to honor both Advent and Christmas as separate seasons. And then, of course, we like to keep our tree up for a really long time. So it was the first time we used an artificial tree. It hurt my heart a little bit. I love the scent of a real tree and just the whole vibe of it. But we do like to keep our tree up for longer. So we went artificial this year. And last year, in this year. So now I have to get myself a really good scented candle, right? So anyway, yes, that first candle on the Advent wreath is all about hope. It's hope for the coming of the Lord, yes, but it's also hope for our future too. Part of Advent is time for penance and preparation and sacrifice. And I don't know about you, but in that, there's a lot of self-reflection, which I've talked about in previous episodes. And I think inevitably what happens when we do that is we start to think about our hopes and our dreams for the future, especially as we come to the end of a calendar year, right? And we're ramping up for a new one. And what are some of the things we're excited about and hoping for? And we start to wonder, how are we going to make it happen? How are we going to turn it into reality? So I wanted to share with you um, just some really, you know, basic strategies, but just important things to keep in mind as you may be planning for your new year. Maybe you're shopping for a planner. I love planners. Maybe you are just considering what you've accomplished and what you have yet to do. And so I just want to share a few things along that route. I think a lot of us, when it comes to January, we're super excited, right? And then by February, we feel like a failure because the things we said we were going to do, we've already flopped out on, okay, for a number of reasons. And we know that's pretty common and that folks aren't alone in that. But one of the things I really focus on in my coaching practice is goal setting and the step-by-step process to get there. So, as I said before, be sure to check the show notes because I did release to my email subscribers a brand new digital course on turning those dreams into goals. You really have to invest time in writing out your goals, and that's the first thing I would suggest, rather than scribbling them on a sticky note or just talking them up in conversation. Actually sit down and put the work in. It's your energy, your relationships, your career. uh, these are all really super important things we're talking about. So this task is definitely worth your time. Write out your goals the old-fashioned way. Do it with pen and paper. People who write down their goals are 42% more likely to reach them. That is amazing. So just getting it out of your head and onto the paper, you're practically halfway there, right? And then I've also found this stat on the interwebs. Those with an accountability partner are 90% more likely to reach their goal. What? That's amazing. So, get that reliable friend, an accountability partner, or invest in a coach. Hello. And you're on your way. So just write it down, get it on paper. The second thing I really encourage people to ponder, and I've really done this in the past few years, and it's really slowed down my thinking and has really made me be intentional with my choices. And that is this concept that good things keep us from great things. Have you heard this before? Yeah. Um, just because something is good and you can do it doesn't mean that you should. And it may mean that it's even getting in the way of something even better. Think about it in this way. Are you sacrificing what you want most for what you want now? Right? I mean, we live in the Amazon Prime world, okay? Delayed gratification is hard. So we keep chasing the next shiny object. I know that's, I got caught up in that a lot when I was first launching my coaching practice because, as a life coach, oh my goodness, there are so many things I could sign up for not only my own personal development, but, to share with my clients. but you really have to slow yourself down in that. So what we should be doing is keeping, our eyes focused on what we want most, and not so much that shiny object. Okay. You can lessen this temptation by, I'm going to go back to it, writing your goals down, and just keep them in a prominent place where you can review them daily. I think that makes a huge difference as well. Sometimes people do all this work and then it goes into a pile somewhere. No, keep it in plain sight so that you stay focused and aligned and on task. Another beautiful thing to do is creating a vision board. If you don't know what one is, it's super simple. You get a piece of poster board and you cut out powerful words, beautiful images that align with your goals and the life you'd love to be living, and you put them onto the board. And it's a really fun process. If you've never done it and you are a visual type person, I suggest taking some time to do that. Maybe in the weeks ahead when we have more downtime, between that Christmas, New Year's week where nobody knows what day of the week it is, and it's a fun time. So could be a fun project, could be even fun to do with the kids as well. So list the benefits of reaching your goal and write down what obstacles may come your way. Awareness is key, and going back to the benefits will help you overcome those obstacles when they arise, because you're going to realize, oh, you know what? I was prepared for this. I knew this would pop up. So let me remind myself of all the fruits of reaching my goal. The third and last thing I just want to remind you of when we are talking about goals is asking yourself this question daily and as many times as you need to. Will this bring me closer to or further from the life I want to build? I love this question. I share it a lot. You can find it in Tom Ziglar's book, Choose to Win. And you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to goals, big or small. You could apply it to daily tasks. If you're really talking yourself out of cleaning the closet or folding the laundry, just remember, what kind of space do you want to be living in? What kind of habits do you want to be building, right? So this simple question of, will this bring me closer to or further from the life I want to build, will keep you focused and in alignment. And, you may not always like the answer, because you may have to say no to yourself or to an invitation or whatever it may be. But just remember, happiness is temporary and joy lasts. Okay. So if you need some help setting yourself up for a beautiful new year, or if you could use a serious dose of hope, I mean, you're listening to this podcast and you're going to be getting that every week. But if you really want to dive into this further, I encourage you again to check those show notes for information about my Dreams to Goals course, which is available now. Guess what? Next week, we are talking about that second candle in our Advent wreath, which is peace. And I'm going to have a guest on. I am super pumped to talk with her. And we're going to be looking at peace really from the angle of in our homes, in what they look like, what they feel like, and creating that peace and preparation for Advent. So I hope you join us next week as well. All right, my friends, let's come back to our Lectio, John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. Wow. Think about the hope of eternal life. We're all here trying to get to heaven, and I can't wait for us all to be up there at the magnificent feast waiting for us. So take some time and think about this passage of hope in John 3:16. That's what I have for you today, my friends. Be sure to hang on for just a moment to hear about those special announcements. And remember to keep blooming. Hey, friends, real quick, I have a couple of announcements of where you can find me next week at a virtual summit and at an in-person event. First up, the virtual Eucharistic summit called Sowing Hope into Broken Hearts, and that's December 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's a virtual event featuring over 20 Catholic speakers. I'm very honored to be a part of this event, and it's completely free. What a gift. So that is December 6th through the 8th in the evening. I have a link to register in the show notes, so go check that out for sure. And then right after that, I will be in Houston, December 9th and 10th. December 9th, which is a Friday evening, I will perform my plays for the Marian Theater Project at St. Cecilia's Catholic Church in Houston. And then the next morning, I will be sitting with the ladies of the parish, and we will be working through Goals with Grace that Saturday morning, the 10th. So if you are in that area or you know of someone in that area, be sure to let them know and encourage them to come on out and join us. Thank you, and keep blooming. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Keep Blooming. Tune in every Wednesday for a dose of hope and encouragement. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and Google and Apple Podcasts. To be the first to know about my upcoming retreats and latest offerings, be sure to hop onto my email list. Have a wonderful week, and remember to keep blooming.